In today's video, the Department of Justice has just made a shocking arrest regarding anti-ICE activists. Also, Chuck Schumer just snapped on a reporter regarding the government shutdown. And Jennifer Welch, she's calling for political violence against her own party. In all these stories, we're going to show you what both sides are saying, but let's look into this announcement from the DOJ. Take a listen.
Protesters, including members of an organization named VC Defensa, came to the site of the search warrants. VC Defensa is an organization that operates and manages what they call a rapid response network designed to impede federal agents and their enforcement operations. And that warrant is what you see on the camera there at the marijuana farm where the agents were attempting to leave. In one of the criminal complaints today, we are charging 2 members of VC Defensa for conspiring to impede and injure federal law enforcement officers. These 2 VC Defensa members went to the protests on July 10th in Ventura County and acted with others to assault enforcement vehicles and officers. One of the members charged in the complaint used her vehicle to block U.S. government vehicles from leaving the location, while another member and others ambushed the vehicles by throwing rocks at them, and those images went viral. Several government vehicles were damaged, and a federal contract employee was injured as a rock went through her vehicle window, shattering the glass and striking her. And you're going to hear more about that case here shortly.
Okay, so things are definitely getting interesting. Now, before I continue here, just as a side note, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, especially if you find value throughout this video today. You want to support us, the best way to do it is to subscribe, shop our merch store, which is in the link in the description below, or you could buy us a cup of coffee. Okay, so this announcement from the DOJ is called accountability. These anti-ICE paid protesters who were sent to not only attack ICE, but vandalize federal property and obstruct justice, they're finally being held accountable. That's the bottom line up front. So this is great news. And I'd expect more arrests are going to come, more indictments are going to come. And what's fascinating is one of the representatives who is running as a Democrat candidate in Illinois, she also has been federally indicted. We're going to get to that story as well, but just hear more on this big update from the DOJ. Take a listen.
Separately, in another incident that you also see on the TV here, on June 8th in downtown Los Angeles Civic Center, a group of agitators used the protests as an excuse to throw rocks, bottles, and other objects at officers, injuring several of them. Government and private property were vandalized. Los Angeles police declared an unlawful assembly, yet the violence continued. 9 of the defendants charged in that second criminal complaint were filmed on cell phones by local news and other media, throwing rocks, bottles, and objects, including objects on fire from an overpass on Main and Los Angeles Street here in downtown LA onto the CHP officers and their vehicles. 2 defendants charged in today's complaint were recorded lighting debris on fire and throwing it at CHP vehicles, pouring what appeared to be flammable liquid, which increased the size of the flames. The officers and vehicles were on the freeway after removing demonstrators who had marched onto the freeway to block traffic lanes. During the mayhem, one CHP vehicle was set ablaze. Officers were trapped while an angry mob threw debris at them from above.
So what do we have here? We have the DOJ catching every single individual who threw rocks, who vandalized, who trapped, went after ICE agents and law enforcement during these immigration raids. Well, that brings us to this other story I told you. So this Democratic congressional candidate out of Illinois has been indicted. She calls it political prosecution. I'm going to show you a photo of her in the video, by the way, so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. But we actually found out about this story when we were reviewing Ground News on these stories. And again, if you guys don't know this, if you're a new follower of mine, we use Ground News to do our research to see what the full picture is of stories being reported by the media. We know there's a bias. The left is going to say their thing. The right is going to say their thing. And sometimes one side only talks about a particular story. But in this case, cool thing about Ground News, it gives us the bottom line up front. It ends up saying that the candidate maintained their actions were nonviolent protests against ICE practices and described the charges as a political prosecution aimed at silencing dissent. Well, why don't we take a look at the video? Watch this. Okay, so as you guys seen, there was about 5 people in front of that vehicle stopping the ICE from doing their job. That's already a crime. Just imagine if you were doing that to your local police department, they'd have you in handcuffs as quickly as possible. Now, according to her, this is all about silencing her free speech. And guess what? According to Ground News, that's exactly what Democrat-leaning institutions are saying, including these media outlets. Let me show it to you here, because Ground News pulls in all of the articles. You can read the headlines and the subtitles, and you can already get a good feeling about what the angle is going to be from them. Let me show you this. Candidate for Illinois 9th District gets federal indictment. That's their headline. But let's read further in the subtitle. In what is surely a case punishing political opposition as well as an attempt to silence dissent. That's not what this is about. She was obstructing justice. You cannot stand in front of a law enforcement vehicle and think you won't be arrested over that. But guys, if you want to be able to cut through the noise and catch the angles before all the propaganda and the noise on social media shows up, you got to be using a tool like Ground News. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you could download the mobile app. Just use promo code Devori, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
My name is Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center. This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt to silence dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment. This case is a major push by the Trump administration to criminalize protest and punish anyone who speaks out against them. That's why I'm going to fight these unjust charges, but I need your help to do it. As I and others have exercised our First Amendment rights, ICE has hit, dragged, thrown, shot with pepper balls, and tear gassed hundreds of protesters, simply because we had the gall to say that masked men coming into our communities, abducting our neighbors, and terrorizing us cannot be our new normal. And because Chicago doesn't back down from bullies in masks who tear gas our neighborhoods, this administration has resorted to weaponizing the federal justice system to scare us into silence. But we're not going to be silent.
All right, so that is her own personal statement she put up on TikTok, and all she's really doing is repeating talking points that are filled with projection, okay? It's Democrats who clearly weaponize the federal government to silence dissent. We saw it during COVID. Heck, we had our own military personnel, men and women, kicked out of the military for not taking the COVID vaccine. And when they voiced their opposition of it, they were silenced, okay? And that's military personnel. Now let's go to commentators and political figures and people on social media. I mean, we don't have to go through that again, but every time I hear that, I always think about what happened under the Biden administration. Maybe that's just me. Okay, now this next update is, I guess, troubling because this judge out of Illinois continues to micromanage the Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bovino, because when he was in court, it is now being known what her orders are for him. I think you're going to find this shocking. Take a listen to this.
Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino appeared before a federal judge yesterday who ordered him to appear in her court every weekday going forward to provide updates on enforcement efforts. She also instructed that he and immigration agents wear and turn on their body cameras. It comes after accusations that Bovino and his agents violated that judge's court order limiting the use of force and tear gas during altercations with protesters. Joining us now, MSNBC legal affairs reporter Fallon Gallagher and former ICE Chief of Staff Jason Hauser. Fallon, how did this all go down in court yesterday? What happens now?
Yeah, Anna, this was a really tense hearing. It lasted a little bit over an hour. You know, you have a judge here who's really frustrated that these border agents are continuously not following her orders. So she actually started this hearing by reading her order to make sure that everybody was on the same page with what it actually entails. Then she went into some of these incidents where we apparently see Bovino and all of these other agents using tear gas in an unannounced way, which violates her order.
So I don't know about you guys. Obviously, we were not there on the ground, but I would imagine that they warned these protesters more than once about the fact that they were about to deploy tear gas. Now, if you guys have other information out there, maybe I'm wrong on this, please let us know in the comment section. But from the video footage I've seen, it's clear that they were warned multiple times to back away, and they just refused to do so. Now, I'm all for the body cam footage because it proves that the judge is overstepping here. So I don't understand why maybe he doesn't want to do it. But I think the issue behind the body cam footage is the principle that a judge is trying to mandate what ICE can and what they can't do, especially at the lower level. That doesn't make any sense to me either. Now, here is Greg Bovino and what he had to say because he was on Fox News. Take a listen.
Let me ask you about what the judge did yesterday. First of all, what is your understanding now? You have to meet with this judge daily. What does that mean to you? What will you be doing?
Harris, over 3 decades, I've had the opportunity to interact with many judges. Each judge is different. Each judge does things a different way. And this is an adapt to the situation type thing. If she wants to meet with me every day, then she's going to see, she's going to have a very good firsthand look at just how bad things really are on the streets of Chicago. I look forward to meeting with that judge to show her exactly what's happening and the extreme amount of violence perpetrated against law enforcement here.
The interesting part about all of it, and again, this would be a separate case, right? It's fascinating how much she wants to micromanage the Border Patrol chief, but she has nothing to say about the riders who clearly are blocking these vehicles from moving. They are following these people in their own vehicles. They're ramming them off the road. They're assaulting them. I mean, what else do you need, right? It's just interesting how much energy is focused on them and not the actual criminals, right? And that's why we call it a judicial tyranny. I'm shocked. I'm sure you are shocked that this judge wants to see the Border Patrol chief in her office every single day until November 4th. We're not the only ones. So is MSDNC. Take a listen.
There are a couple of things that he has to do now. One of those you alluded to, he has those daily check-ins every day at 6 p.m. local time. This is highly unusual for a judge to ask a top official leading this operation to come in person to her courtroom every single weekday to report on the day's activities. The other thing that he needs to do is actually start using that body camera. He said that he wasn't really sure how to use it. She gave him until Friday to learn how to use that body camera and said that she wants to see it on. She said something to the effect of, I think that body camera is going to be your friend moving forward. And the other thing that he has to do is start compiling every single incident report from a use of force with the accompanying body camera footage since September 2nd and deliver her that so she can review.
Yeah. Okay. So this is just insanity. That's why I said it's micromanaging, and it should not be happening. Now, do people have the right to sue Border Patrol or take them to court to what they feel is aggressive or malicious, prosecute, whatever? Yeah, they absolutely have the right to do that. And the judge has the right to rule in the way that she sees fit. Again, the problem is once the system works itself out, she's going to get overruled. And so this is more of a nuisance and annoyance, of course, and he's going to play the game because he's an expert at it. He's been doing this for quite some time. Now, going back to the body cam point, they should have it on. They should have it on to prove their case even more. And every time they go out, release the footage. Release the raw footage so people could see their faces attacking ICE officers. I hope they actually do that. Okay, now let's go to our next story, which is about the government shutdown. Chuck Schumer just snapped on a reporter during their daily press conference where they continue to push lies about whose fault it is, etc. And I think you're going to find this entertaining. Take a listen.
Irrespective of the dispute on whether USDA contingency funds can be used for SNAP benefits.
It is not, wait a minute, excuse me. It is not a dispute. It is fact they can use it, and the Republicans say it.
Okay, but there's, only 5 or 6 billion, and it's not cost $8 billion monthly just to administer. I mean, if anything, it would only last a couple
It does not cost 5 or 6 billion to administer. There's enough money to start feeding people right away. 6 billion's a lot of money, and they're using it for other things. 20 billion for Argentina. Hundreds of millions for Kristi Noem's plane. Who are we kidding here? The bottom line is they can fund it just as in 2019, just as in other shutdowns, for a long period of time. Just think, if they have all this money for Argentina and all this money for other things, they have enough money to keep funding SNAP. And they know it. And I just want to say what Lujan said. Johnson just lies. He lied about on immigration, on the undocumented. He's lying about this. He just outright lies, plain and simple. It is not illegal, and his own president has done it.
So it's no secret that Chuck Schumer is clearly angry. And he only has to blame himself. I mean, he's the one who put himself in this position. He should have did the right thing and just voted to open up the government, and they could already be talking about ACA subsidies at this point, and SNAP wouldn't even be a conversation. But they decided to say that this is the only leverage they have at this point, and they're not willing to let go. Okay, then we'll then deal with the consequences. Now, on the merits of what he is saying, it is true. Argentina did get a $20 billion bailout, but the fact of the matter is it's from a different bank account. So as you guys know, the federal government has multiple bank accounts for multiple reasons, etc. Can you move the money around? Of course you can. But that money was already marked for Argentina. So on the merits, is there something wrong with what the Trump administration did here with Argentina? No. On the optics, of course it looks bad. But it still doesn't help Democrats at the end of the day. In fact, when we're starting to hear stories like this is why I'm telling you, it's getting bad for everybody involved here, because people are now robbing these grocery stores and getting into fights with employees at these grocery stores. Take a listen to this.
Cell phone video shows two women berating and attacking workers Sunday evening as stunned shoppers stare in disbelief.
That's crazy. Oh, nah.
Others watching the combative confrontation can't understand it.
I'm speechless because doesn't matter the reason, is not supposed to act like that.
Investigators say the women deliberately slipped higher priced food like lobster, ribeye steaks, and truffle butter in blue bags while they were checking out. And police say when workers confronted them about not paying for the items, the women started attacking them and yelling racial slurs.
People are shoplifting. They're getting beat up for trying to stop the people. That's not fair to them. I mean, it's really messed up.
Police arrested Olivia and Regine Bird in the parking lot. The sisters are now facing charges, including assault and battery. Other shoppers say they have sympathy for the workers who are dedicated to their jobs.
Now, just imagine once we get to November 1st and the government is still closed and SNAP benefits are not being paid out, what's going to happen then? Okay, it's just going to continue to get nasty. And so here is Bernie Sanders also on this train of blaming everything on the Republicans and President Trump. Take a listen.
We are here today to send a very loud and a very clear message to President Trump. Obey the law. I know that's a hard concept for the president, but obey the law. Do what Congress mandated you do. Do not let children in America and their parents and grandchildren go hungry. Do not go down as the first president in history to manufacture a hunger crisis in the richest country on earth. Release these funds. Now, the good news is there are at least 11 Republicans in the Senate who are supporting a bipartisan bill to ensure that no one in America goes without the nutrition assistance they need during the shutdown. And that is very good news, and I thank those 11 Republicans. Every Democrat supports that bill as well.
Well, it remains to be seen when they're going to pass that bill. You think they would have voted for it already. I mean, how hard is it to draft it up? Hey, just appropriate this amount of money for this SNAP benefits. Let's go ahead and pass it. What's the holdup? The holdup is they're trying to inject their own priorities in that bill, and that's why it's probably going to fail. Okay, that's what they try to do with the Clean CR. They don't like the fact that there are zero priorities in this Clean CR. It's just existing spending. They don't want that. They want to throw in their own sauce, and that's what the holdup is in regards to everything here. Okay, now let's go to this clip of Gavin Newsom because he's weighing in on this, but from a religious point of view. Take a listen.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives remarkably once again lied when he said, well, it's government shutdown, there's nothing we can do about it. You can see the board right behind the Attorney General. There's been situations in the past consistently. This program has been funded during government shutdowns. He lied. Once again, he lied. It's also interesting to me because I spent a little time at a wonderful Jesuit university. If there was anything I remember about my 4 years with Father Cause, is that the New Testament and Old Testament have one thing dominantly in common. In Matthew and Isaiah, Luke, Proverbs, I mean, go down the list. It's around food. It's about serving those that are hungry. It's not a suggestion in the Old and New Testament. It's core and central to what it is to align to God's will, period, full stop. I say that because these guys need to stop the BS in Washington, D.C.
All right, number one, can we please delete the words period, full stop? I'm tired of hearing that. Once Ketanji Brown Jackson wrote it in her dissent. Everybody wants to say it now. It's ridiculous. Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, I agree with him. There's a bunch of BS in Washington, D.C., but he's a part of it. And he wants to be the next president of the United States where he will continue to enable that behavior. No, thank you. But hey, they think what he is doing is the right thing. And when I say they, I'm talking about MSDNC.
I like his fight. I like what he's doing.
I'm hearing that from more and more Democrats who always used to say, oh, he's too slick. He's from California. He can never win. Now I'm starting to hear Democrats go, well, I don't know. He knows how to fight Trump on his own terms.
Yeah, he understands the attention economy. He seems to have the right beat, the right notes. I think in New Hampshire, they just did their first poll. I think he was second behind either Kamala or AOC. I'm not quite sure who is there. Obviously, that's going to change dramatically. He seems to have the notes. He seems to have the beats. So we'll see. But Democrats overall still don't have a message given what they have at the table to work with.
Okay, let's just cut to it, right? If your prospects for the nominee for the president of the United States is Gavin Newsom, AOC, you know you have problems already. Okay, so there's that. And then Andrew Cuomo, this takes us to our next update, did an interview with Fox Business, and he admitted the truth out loud, but there's a problem with what he had to say, and we have to react to it. First, take a look.
So what do you want to say about the division within the Democrat Party right now? And many of our audience, I think, agrees with that. And they're moderate. You might lean to the right on some things, lean to the left on other things.
Yeah, Maria, look, the truth is there's a quiet civil war going on in the Democratic Party right now. You have an extreme left, radical left. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani is just the banner carrier for that movement versus the mainstream moderate Democrats. They now call me moderate. They used to call me liberal. Now I'm a moderate because the whole party shifted. And that's what this election is about. It is that civil war. I believe that far left will destroy the Democratic Party. I believe it will destroy the Democratic Party nationwide if that far left becomes dominant. This is not a socialist country. They're not going to accept socialist policies. They're not anti-law and order. They're not anti-business, right? So that's why I think this election is so important. It's garnered so much attention. It's not just about mayor of New York. It's about the future of the Democratic Party.
He ruined New York. He drove out Republicans, conservatives, pushed businesses away. He did that. Now he wants to run this campaign like, hey, I'm here to fix it. Come on, man. But that's what they do. He has realized that he went too far. Now he, I guess, is attempting to make it right. He can't do that. He's not the guy for the job. Plus all the other issues that he has and what he did during COVID. Let's not even bring that up. But again, I think he did say something smart, which is this will destroy the Democrat Party as we know it. And I honestly think that's no longer the statement anymore. The party is gone. It has been gone, okay? The fact that there are Democrats from the 90s that are considered to be Republicans or conservatives today tells you that. Now, let's go a little step further to this clip from Jennifer Welch. She is now seeking Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer to get with the program as it pertains to their political violence, their political rhetoric, and going farther left. Take a look.
If you think this Zoran thing is happening just in New York and you think people are waking up only in New York City, you're mistaken. Look at this clip of a wine mom at the No Kings March. Play the clip.
Whatever his name was?
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Your friend just said she'd be happy if I died.
I think we need to...
So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this shit or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, fuck Charlie Kirk, he was a racist, he was a piece of shit. There are so many more of us than there are of them.
Not only can you hear the violence in her voice, but the aggression that these people have, I guess, accepted. They think more fight, more force, more aggression is the way to go. They think that type of rhetoric is appropriate for where we are as a country today. They think that's actually going to help the average American out there. It clearly is not. Anybody with a brain knows that. And we actually need to get back to the center at a minimum. There's nothing wrong with being a progressive. There's nothing wrong with being a conservative. But we have to get back to the center as far as policies are concerned, because that's the only way things are ever going to get done in Congress. You have to go in that direction. There's got to be some compromise. They're not looking for compromise. They're looking for more violence. And so that brings us to Michael Knowles, who was on Capitol Hill. This was actually yesterday, where he pushed back on Cory Booker and this type of rhetoric. Take a listen.
You know, I think Senator Booker made a good point just a moment ago when he said we have to self-examine. We have to be introspective. And, I can't help but think of a line today. Jay Jones has the vision, commitment, and integrity to keep families safe and make sure every Virginian gets a fair shake in the justice system. I'll be working every day to ensure Jay wins this race. That's the endorsement of Senator Booker for a man who would seek to be the Attorney General of Virginia. This is a man who, if people have not been reading the news, has called for a Republican to be murdered, for his children to be murdered, for the children to die in their mother's arms in order to persuade the Republican to change his policy views, and a man who says that he would urinate on the graves of multiple Republicans. Senator Booker, in the spirit of introspection, is standing by this endorsement. So I suppose I would invite, perhaps I should have looked, because Senator Booker has left the room, and I think I can guess why. Senator Booker, I think, should practice what he preaches, because this is the kind of moment. You cannot have a professor who wants to teach students and is going to desire to kill half of them. You certainly cannot have law enforcement officers who would engage in this kind of violent rhetoric against half of their constituents. So long as anyone stands by an endorsement such as that, their words are meaningless. They are shedding crocodile tears on the topic of political violence.
I mean, he couldn't have said it any better. He clearly articulated exactly what the problem is. You have one side who's willing to tolerate this type of rhetoric, tolerate this type of behavior. That's why they don't condemn it. They had nothing to say about Tesla. They didn't have much to say about Charlie Kirk. They definitely didn't have much to say about President Trump. In fact, they hoped it was successful. But again, this is part of our country. That's why it's very important to protect your mindset, to get the right information, cannot buy into that propaganda. And I think some Democrats out there, I'm talking about voters now, are waking up to that.
I am a Pennsylvania Democrat, and I would like to tell my party and those that the American people voted for to be sitting in those chairs that they need to vote yes. This, and I don't know if everybody gets their news from, social media, but I have watched for the past couple of days the YouTube and the people that are receiving the benefits stating what their plans are. And I don't want to be in the grocery store when this goes down. I have a problem with my party, and I'm not going to change my party. I just won't vote for a Democrat.
In other words, she will sit out the election. And some would argue that's exactly what happened in 2024. So why don't I hear from you guys in the comment section below to these stories today? Starting with the DOJ announcement regarding arresting these anti-ICE activists who clearly have been violent. Also, what do you make of Chuck Schumer snapping on that reporter regarding snap, no pun intended? And what do you think about Gavin Newsom using the New Testament and Old Testament to make his point? And finally, Jennifer Welch. She sounds pretty violent. Well, she's one of those Democrat or progressive podcasters out there, and I don't think she minds getting her hands dirty. So why don't you guys give me your thoughts in the comment section below to everything we discussed and more. Now, speaking of Democrat voters, during our live stream earlier today, they got crushing news because it has become abundantly clear that Democrats have no interest in fixing the government shutdown situation. And in fact, they've doubled down on more of their rhetoric, which means 42 million Americans are going to miss out on SNAP benefits November 1st. If you guys missed out on that update and more, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.